Hi everyone, welcome to episode 14 of Two Friendless Friends. You know, it's actually pretty cool that we're already on episode 14, right? Like, we started this podcast in January.
Well, like, we started recording in January, but this kind of existed before that.
Yeah, right, we did. But we started posting in January, didn't we?
Our first episode came out, like, on the first day of the year, like, when the fireworks were going, we were trying to upload our episodes.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. But it's actually pretty cool that we're already on episode 14. And you said the other day that we just reached like over 300 downloads.
Yeah, I think we're on like 300 and nearly 350 now. And that doesn't include the YouTube as well.
Yeah, so that'll be like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, right?
And like basically whatever podcast player people use. Because I'm pretty sure our podcast should be available nearly everywhere.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. I really want to see like who actually listens to it.
Except we can't really.
Yeah, I know. I just want to know, like, is there anyone that doesn't actually know who we are personally, but has continued to watch over time? Like, that's just something I really want to know. And if you are that kind of person, please let us know, because that would be really cool. Anyway, so before we actually get into this episode, I wanted to take a bit of time to ask a question. It might take a while to answer this question, and it's really broad, but it's just really about like communication. Okay, so what do you define a good communicator as?
In what situation though? Like as a friend, in group work, or?
Okay, let's start off with friendship then.
I think friendship communication, it depends how close you are. So like if it's not someone not that close, I don't really expect that much in terms of communication. But if it's someone that I personally think is a close friend of mine, then I think I kind of expect a bit more. So like more frequent replies, and the actual like conversations aren't very like
dry,
boring. They're not dry, like they actually flow, and it's like it's not very one-sided, you know. It's like I put in not really energy, because I think my text messages tend to sound very dead, because I don't use like punctuation or emojis. I just straight up type.
You know, that's kind of weird, because I've been told that I overuse punctuation when I text. I don't know. Do you know anyone who uses like quotation marks when they text?
You?
Other than me, because I didn't realize it was like a weird thing until someone was like, why do you do this? I'm like, this is normal. It just makes so much more sense and like easier to read.
I just
like,
not bothered. I just straight up type it.
But it just makes so much sense, and it's so easy.
It's like people should be able to pick up where the punctuation is meant to be anyway.
That's true.
So I don't think it's necessary. But yeah, I think like in terms of communication, I just kind of expect some effort, and it shouldn't seem like it's only me talking.
Yeah.
And one thing I hate is always having to initiate the conversation.
Okay, so I think like you would say your definition of a good communicator is just someone who can have a good conversation with you, and it can go on for a while without it being boring or dry. Okay. What about like when conflict occurs though? Or not even conflict, like just something that you disagree on with a friend.
I mean, like, usually I kind of just accept their opinion and be like, yeah, that's your opinion and this is my opinion. Like, we don't really argue over much. I don't think I've ever really, like, completely argued with someone because I disagree with them on something in terms of friendships. A lot of the times it's like, oh, we tell each other our reasoning and we respect each other's opinions no matter how different they are.
Wait, that's most times for you?
Yeah,
Is that how the conversation goes?
That's actually like I rarely have conflict with friends.
Yeah. Okay, that's actually really good though. I actually don't too, honestly. Sorry. No, okay, no. It's really just few people. The same few people, okay? So basically the reason I'm asking this, and it's kind of ironic for me to say this because I don't think I'm personally a really good communicator, because I think to be a good communicator, you also have to be able to say your own thoughts comfortably, and I don't think I do that very well. Like, I wouldn't consider myself to be the most genuine person because I don't actually genuinely say all my opinions, right?
Mm.
But I would say I'm a good listener.
Yeah, you are.
Like, when someone says something, I'll take it in. So basically, the other day, I was talking to someone about, like, I haven't talked to this person in a while.
Do they listen? They probably don't.
I have no idea.
I don't think they would.
Probably don't. Yeah. It doesn't matter anyway. They can know that I don't like them because of this now. So, okay. I didn't like them for a while, okay? But then they wished me a happy birthday, and I was like, oh, okay. Let me, like, kind of initiate the conversation again, see if, like, we can repatch the past. And I feel like I have pretty valid reasoning for disliking them in the past, which I probably won't get into now, but I don't know. That's a lot for me to say. Like, I know it's not very believable, and it sounds very biased to say that, like, it's valid to not like them. But anyway, I didn't like them for a while. They said happy birthday. I was like, let's give them another chance. Let's talk to them. Let me go through, like, why I kind of disliked what they did to me. So I told them that, right? And their response was like, yes, thanks for telling me. I'm living a blessed life now.
Yeah, the blessed bit was so. It was
no. I'm not even
it
exaggerating.
Was so funny.
That was literally the conversation.
It was so funny in the sense that, like, it was so weird.
It was
like,
weird. It was a weird response.
Who even says that? I live a blessed life.
Yeah, like, things have taken a blessed turn or something
like that.
It was along
and,
those
like,
lines.
Who even uses the word blessed?
Hey. But I mean, that is weird, right? Like, I'm telling you that you have hurt me.
It's you're telling them, like, oh, I don't like this, and he's like, I'm doing so well without you, kind of.
No, but it wasn't even that though. It was, okay, let me actually, like, rephrase everything. So it was, I'm gonna summarize it. Hey, you hurt me because of this and this. It was like, no, actually, sorry. Let me repeat that again. Hey, you hurt me because of something, and I want to talk to you about it in case that later on, if we don't ever get the chance to, I don't want to, like, seem fake, right? I want to let you know now. And he says to me, no, I don't really want to revisit the past. And I was like, okay, but I still want to let you know because I don't want it to just come up randomly later. Like, just let me say my stuff, right? And then he never really was like, okay, like, tell me about it. I had to be the one to tell him. He never really asked either. So then I was like, okay, so you hurt me for this reason as well as this reason. And then he said, oh, thanks for being a good friend to me. I hope to see you around. Thanks for telling me. And I was like, okay, what? And he was like, oh yeah, I can't really change the past, but things have definitely gotten better. And then I was like, okay, so you can't change the past, but, like, you could be more careful about it in the future. And he was like, yeah, definitely. And I'm like, this is not the response that I want from someone who's being quite hurt over something you said. I feel like I felt like I wanted you to at least acknowledge that you hurt me, but he wasn't listening to anything I said. And then that's where it got me thinking about, like, communication in general, right? People think that they're good communicators just because they're like, oh, I'm able to talk to people. But that's not being a good communicator, right?
Communicating is very different. Like, talking is a means of communication, but it's not about, like, how much you talk. It's about, like, what you talk about and how you express it.
Okay, so would you then say that listening and communicating is on equal levels of importance?
Yeah, like, you have to be able to listen to other people's problems when they listen to yours. It's like, when you're talking, they listen, and listening as in, like, they actually pay attention.
Exactly, right. So I agree with you too. And so then I think, like, if I was to make, like, a list of what a good communicator is, especially in, like, a conflict situation, it would just be that you have to listen to what they're saying, acknowledge what you did, okay? If you don't agree, and if you really think that you're in the right, you can explain that, and you're allowed to defend yourself. You're allowed to say what your own thoughts are.
Yeah, you're allowed to, and I want to just put in, like, you're allowed to express your thoughts, but you're not allowed to try and make someone, like, also have the same thoughts as you and also have the same opinions as you. It's like you both kind of need to just understand where you're coming from, and that's kind of it. There's no really need to, like, make sure that your opinions are exactly the same after this conversation.
Yeah, okay.
I want to turn this back on you.
Okay, yeah.
What about group work? In communication in group work? Because I know that we've both had some, like, not great experiences with group work, and I've complained about it in the past few episodes.
Speaking of group work, though, I don't even want to say
yes.
Like, I really like the people in the group, but we submitted it 8 minutes before it was due.
You know how normal that is, though?
Huh?
I feel like that's very normal.
But I mean, we set a deadline.
I mean, like, yeah, to be fair, if you set a deadline and said that
everyone else had their parts done except for this one girl who was meant to do the submission, like, I won't even say it. I can't even say it. Okay, but group work? So do you mean just, like, okay, communicating group work? While I think of this...
Yeah, so, like, it's, like, more... Not necessarily just group work, but, like, communicating when you're working with someone is very different from friendships. So I wanted to know your opinions.
Okay, I think it's different because the relationship you have with people you're working with is more like acquaintances, whereas friends, you definitely have a stronger emotional connection. And I think that it's actually harder for me to talk to people who I'm not that close with.
It's easier for me to just be like, you're bad. Done.
Do you say that?
No, but, like, essentially, when there's issues, it's much easier for me to argue with someone in my group that's not my friend than someone that is my friend. Because when they are my friend, I'm much more likely to kind of, like, tolerate issues.
Okay, why is that, though?
I don't want to ruin a friendship because of group work. Because how I see it, you know, I've always said that, like, I cut out toxic people and stuff like that from my life, right? But when it comes to group work, I don't think that can translate to friendship. Since, like, working with someone is very different from being friends with someone, as I said a bit earlier. And just because I'm not good at working with them doesn't mean they are a bad friend.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it.
Yeah, obviously, though. Because I feel like I definitely have friends who aren't as organized as me. And, like, I wouldn't say I'm the most organized, but they just aren't as organized as me. And their style of working is very different, right?
Me?
What do you mean? You are organized.
Finishes things at the very last minute, though.
No, but, like, at least in terms of this podcast, because that's what I'm working on with you.
Oh, yeah, true. Like, but if you had to, you're probably not going to end up working with me at uni because we don't really, even when we do share courses, it's not courses where we timetable together anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you're doing comp and I'm doing science.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, though, I don't think I work well when there's conflict in groups because I get really scared to say my stuff. But I actually...
You're so scared about confrontation. I noticed that.
But I actually have been putting a lot of effort into, like, I've been making a conscious effort. I don't think you would have noticed, but like just some stuff that I've. Okay. For example, yesterday when you were like, oh, there's this article which we actually might get into later in this episode. There's this article, yes. And then I said, oh, I kind of wanted to do an episode. What did I say? Not on social issues. Yeah. That text, I was like, oh, should I send it? It's a bit like going against what Kelly wants to do. And then I was like, yes, please suggest, because like I straight up just couldn't really think of much other than the meme about the evergreen in the Suez Canal. Yay, like, that got free.
That was the only non-social thing, like non-serious thing that I could think about.
Yeah, it's like very small things like that where I feel like I tell myself, okay, just send it, just say your thoughts and then deal with whatever their response is later. And then I feel like I'm getting better at being more assertive.
You're getting better. You're getting there.
Not quite there yet, but I just feel really bad about it. Yeah. What do you think makes a good communicator in group work, though?
It has to be someone that, like, kind of... I think in group work, there's a obligation to kind of consistently update your group on, like, what you have done.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
And what there still is to do. So, like, you want to make sure that everyone's running on a very similar timeline, so you meet deadlines and stuff like that, and make sure that no one's really falling behind. So here's the thing. I've complained about this so many times, but it's not going to stop until the end of this term. So get prepared. There's like...
Is it comp?
Yeah, like, because I think other groups that I've worked with, they meet deadlines and stuff. Like, although the quality of their work might not meet up to my expectations, like, the deadlines that I set always will give me time to go back and fix all their work if necessary. So in terms of group work, I'm a lot more organized and like I try to get stuff done early. And basically, this one guy literally cannot meet a single deadline.
Wait, okay, we since we bring up this guy so much, we should actually give him like a name, like a fake name, a code name.
Turtle.
Turtle?
Turtle.
A turtle. Okay. By the way, when I edit these, I know it sounds very clear what Kelly says, and so it's weird that like from a viewer's point of view, you're like, oh, Kelly clearly said the word turtle. How did she hear that as curdle? But we communicate through like we're calling through like phone, so the quality isn't that good. I just want to say that. Okay, Turtle is his name.
Yes. So Turtle has not been meeting deadlines. I think so. For the first iteration, we had to rewrite all of his stuff, but this iteration so this is iteration 2. There's one more after this before the end of the term. This one has been better, but I also haven't checked any of the work that he's done because I haven't had the time since I decided to take on extra work for the group. Since just to make sure that everything's more consistent when we hand it in, I've decided to take on like changing all the old stuff. I didn't realize exactly how much there was to fix until last night when I was like coding for 5 hours and trying to fix everything. It was such a pain, and I didn't realize it would be that much of a pain, and I'm still not done.
When's it due?
Next Tuesday in the morning.
Oh, okay then. Good luck for that.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll get my part done as long as they get their parts done. It'll be fine. We'll meet the deadline. But it's just like when you have issues when you're in a group with like meeting certain things, you should kind of like directly ask the group, talk to the group. If you can't make it to a meeting, let the group know and catch up on the meeting stuff from like the minutes that we write, or just ask someone if you don't write minutes. And it's like, just make sure that you're keeping up to date with what you need to do and what you still have to do. It's so hard to work with someone that isn't talking about how much they've done.
Do you think that being in the societies like law review and med review, it's made you better at working in groups?
It's made me hate group work more.
What? Really?
Because I feel like in societies there's less obligation, since it's not,
there's no grades,
there's no like real consequences. Like,
okay,
because in group work in classes, I'd assume most people actually care about their marks and at least want to pass, right? Like, maybe not like get HD for everything, but like they would want to at least do okay. But like in societies, it's like there's no real like consequence, and like especially when you're friends with everyone, there's no real like seniority and like, oh, you have to listen to this person, because everyone's just friends.
Yeah.
So I think that's a downfall. It could be a good thing if the group does work very well together, but it could also be a downfall because it can easily create tensions in the friendship, especially if like part of the friendship is defined by the society work.
Oh yeah, that's a really good way of putting it.
I've been thinking about this.
I think it has made me better actually, because like I didn't know what meeting minutes were before review.
What?
Yeah, when did you ever have meeting minutes?
Oh wait, I was in SRC and stuff. Yeah. I don't know, I've always had, like, I've always known what meeting minutes are because I've read meeting minutes many times before.
But yeah, I think it's important to have them. And it just makes it a lot easier to follow through with, because then, like, you end up miscommunicating things.
Yeah, and, like,
if you don't really have it.
Yeah, I think one downfall sometimes is when you don't have real defined roles, because everyone's just friends, there's a lack of like consistency, and there's also a lack of like organization, because everyone's just like, oh, let's wing it.
Yeah, for societies, right?
Because it's just like you're less likely to do that when it's like a real group assignment for like a course than a society. And I think it might have just been because we're part of a society that's less serious. It's like more chill and like fun.
It is,
than like actually having to organize proper things. Because I know like societies like BSOC and stuff, like they organize things with sponsors and everything, and like it's big companies, so they have to be a lot more organized than we are.
Yeah, and I do think that you have a good point, but also if our society ended up doing that and being like super organized with it, then I think that, I mean, it's good to be organized actually, but I do think that if we ended up taking a BSOC kind of
approach,
then it would kind of feel like you're working instead of just having fun. Because right now,
I think that's like slightly the point though
of review,
because I think not review, but like that's kind of the point of like subcoms and stuff. You're kind of working, but you're not completely.
Yeah, and our society isn't very like that though. It feels genuinely just like we're just organizing stuff to have fun.
But then it also makes me feel less obligated to attend stuff.
It does, yeah.
And yeah, it's also because like it makes me feel like I can easily cancel on something because of a scheduling issue. It won't make me prioritize it when I'm scheduling stuff, which is bad, but it's good for me in terms of like my schedule's way too full anyway. So it's like I get to do it while not having to worry about it clashing with other stuff.
I have one last question about communication. Then we can go into the articles that you found. So I wanted to bring this up earlier, but I feel like there's a fine line between disagreeing with the other person and dismissing what they're saying, right?
I don't think it's that fine of a line. Like, it's a fine line, but it's a very clear line. Like, distinct line.
So a situation, like an example I can give would kind of just be like, okay, let's just use like our conversation from last night, right?
Yeah.
Actually, there was no feelings involved with that.
I mean,
no one was happy or hurt.
It was
okay.
That was like just very like, we're both dead. We were just trying to come up with something, and we just like pulled whatever we could, I think, last night.
So let's say that you brought up, or I was like, hey, maybe we should consider doing this instead. And then you got very upset about it, about me suggesting a new idea, okay? And let's pretend that we had a conversation after that, talking about it. And I don't really understand why you're hurt. And I'm trying to defend myself, I guess, by saying like, no, I was just trying to suggest new ideas. But then maybe you were saying like, no, you just always disagree with what I say and I'm just sick of it, right? Like, I feel like there is a fine line between disagreeing and trying to like defend your own opinions, or just completely dismissing the other person's opinions.
I mean, like, the thing is, there is a fine line between that, but I think people find it easier to dismiss than like disagree and respect. It's so much easier, like, because it's like less effort involved for the person. Like, imagine this, you're the person kind of disagreeing. Is it easier, like, less effort for you to just dismiss what they said and just take your opinion than like to actually like listen through and like process everything they say and like their reasoning, and also like kind of incorporate parts of what you agree with them into your own reasoning? So like, it is easier to dismiss. And that's the bad part, because by dismissing constantly, you don't really form new opinions and you don't really like grow. Because I feel like a lot of the things we learn in life are when we disagree with someone and then we listen to what they think and we see a new perspective.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because like, it's like, I've definitely grown up with like very sheltered and very like similar people, and since like coming to uni I've met a lot more different people, and like I've kind of learned a lot in terms of attitudes and like things to do, things not to do, kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think it's actually really frustrating if you're someone who wants to talk about and like communicate it through when there's conflict happening, when you're talking to someone who's just really, really afraid of confrontation. Because I would say that I don't like it, but I won't always completely avoid it.
I don't think you run away from it. You just don't like it.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay, because that made me so angry. Because all I wanted to do was to talk it through with them, right? Something happened basically, and I was like, this is how I felt. And then they were just like, oh, okay. And they weren't listening to anything. They weren't saying what they were thinking either. And I think from their point of view, they just kind of wanted to avoid the topic because it's uncomfortable having to deal with conflict. And like, I get that, right?
It's definitely uncomfortable. But I know this person too. And I'm like, they haven't changed because they haven't dealt with it. They haven't dealt with the confrontation and like really listened and processed what other people have said, and also like taken that feedback, see what they agree with, and like kind of adapt themselves to that. They haven't done that.
Yeah, and I just got really angry during that because I was just left kind of in the dark because I had no idea what was going on because they just wouldn't tell me anything.
Yeah, you can't really tell if like they were angry or if like they were sad and they felt hurt.
Yeah. So then nothing really got fixed in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's happened a few times. Nothing has gotten fixed with them.
Oh well, I wish them the best.
Oh well.
Okay, let's actually get into the articles that you found though.
So last night I was just scrolling through Facebook and I saw this post because I used to go to North Sydney Girls, right? So I still follow them on Facebook, and they posted up this article by the New South Wales Department of Education. And I actually found this really cool because I didn't hear about kind of this happening. And this is something that I've like kind of wanted to happen as well. So the education department is initiating this free hygiene products for school students. And it's like, it's a trial run right now, but it's like to ensure that there are no barriers to girls' education. So it's not really like, oh, we're going to hand out pads to everyone, but it's more like they will be available in the school girls' toilets for girls that need to use it. And you can just take it without paying any money.
Which schools are getting this?
It's Western Sydney and Dubbo in like 30 different schools. And
just
one of
high
them
school
is...
Huh? Sorry, just high school or primary as well?
I think they are prioritizing high schools, probably. I don't know. But they're probably prioritizing high school because high school is like where most girls get their periods. But I don't know how, but they said it's just a trial run right now. And afterwards they will like look at how they roll it out across to every single school. Because it will take ages to like install the dispensers and like kind of stock everything, make sure that there's consistent stock to schools. But I think like just the thought of this starting to happen is actually very, very important.
A big move forward.
It's a very big step because like there's always been that argument about like, oh, why are girls paying so much for necessities?
And I think a few years ago they removed taxes off of sanitary products. Or am I tripping?
I feel like I heard about that, but I don't know if we're both tripping. But
okay, if we both remember it, then we probably aren't tripping.
Unless it's like one of those weird things where, yeah. Let's not go into that. It's too trippy.
Okay.
Yeah, but basically...
that's actually really good, though. For high school students.
Yeah, especially because like high school students are not at an age where they have any sort of income. So
yeah,
it does help a lot of families that are struggling with, because pads are so expensive. Like when they're on sale, it's like a few dollars up for a pack, and when you're on your period, you go through like at least a pack or two, or like a pack and a bit, depending on how bad your flow is that time. But, and like, it's like certain ones are like more expensive and like stuff like that. And I think it is a necessity that should be free to everyone. We can say that about healthcare too, but we know that there's some countries out there without Medicare.
Yeah. All the countries' version of Medicare.
Yeah. So, I don't know. This is like, it's a good thing. I feel like it's a bit late, but I'm glad that it has happened no matter what.
Yeah. And the thing that really, that just doesn't make sense to me, and probably a lot of women, as well as men probably out there, is that why are condoms constantly being given out free in various events, right? I feel like in so many uni events they did. And
they also gave out pads.
Were also, yeah, I know. But I feel like it's more common for condoms to be given out than pads. And I guess that like, I don't know, from a business point of view, it's just easier and cheaper to give out condoms. But then like girls need pads.
Yeah.
Right? Like there are other options too, obviously. But like it's not
like girls need these products. Like Whether it be a pad or like tampons or like menstrual cups or like stuff like that.
For health reasons. Not even for pleasure reasons.
It's not even... I wouldn't say it's help. It's just necessity. It's just a necessity.
No, but it's like physical health, keeping your body healthy.
It's not even... It's not like... No, because what I'm thinking when you say like keeping yourself healthy is like supplements and stuff like that. This is just straight up necessity. It's not even about like, oh, making sure you have a proper diet and stuff like that. Because no matter what, girls will get their periods. That's not negotiable in a sense.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's not like it's gonna like periods stop and the blood stops coming out and like you're like, okay, I don't need pads. It's something that will happen. It's just messed up.
Okay, and this is kind of going a bit off topic, but I don't think that sex ed is done well enough.
Definitely.
In
some
especially
schools.
Other countries and some schools. Okay, I don't know how it was in your school actually, but I know some people.
1 hour lesson, and that was it.
Like once a week?
1 hour lesson one time in the 4 years that I was at that school.
Wait, what?
Yes.
I mean, then again, like, it was like a module in PE. So, we also, you know what? Comparing my school with a lot of other schools, I think we actually did it pretty well. We had a day where these doctors came around to our school and we separated into like small groups of like maybe 5 or 6. And then we separated it into like gender. So like guys were separated into like groups of 5 or 6. Girls were separated into groups of 5 or 6 with a doctor there. And then we just went around talking about like sex ed as well as any questions that we wanted to ask the doctor personally. And I think that day was very important. But then beyond that, we also had like regular sex ed classes.
Oh, we didn't
like
have
in PE.
that. We didn't have that. But here's my thing. Like, especially when it comes... I remember doing sex ed in year 6, right? And
was it not in the module? How did you just skip it, though?
Huh? We didn't
like
skip
in the syllabus.
We didn't skip it. We just skimmed through it.
Oh, okay.
But, like, I remember in year 6, basically, I feel like a lot of schools do this, but I don't really remember if we did this. But there's always, like, that specific talk with girls about periods, and, like, guys aren't there for it.
Oh, I remember we had that in camp, but it was more...
And I've heard that this exists also in other countries where, like, girls and guys get split up for sex ed, and then, like, they get completely different talks. But I feel like both genders should be present in both, because it's, like... Guys need to know this too, not necessarily because it immediately affects them, but it will affect others around them, and it also like it better informs them about stuff that would happen in the future.
Yeah, because I remember talking to a guy and they were 18 at the time. Yep, they were 18, and they didn't know that girls had the 3 holes. Okay. As it, well, like 2 at the front, 1 at the back.
Yeah.
They also kind of recently, like this was last year, but like they found out pretty late in comparison to everyone else that periods were an ongoing thing. They thought it was just like a one-time thing. Right? Like, what is happening to...
Yeah, this is what I say, like, girls and guys need the same sex ed. Like... Both need to learn about the same things. Like, maybe some parts of it will, like, directly affect a certain gender more. Both need to know about it.
Wait, okay, so you said that you had your 1 hour class in school. Did you then learn about, like, how to put on a condom?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
1 demonstration and that was it.
You guys didn't get to do it yourself?
No. It was literally, like... I think it was like 3 classes or something just chucked together in the lecture theatre.
Wait, what? That's even worse.
Huh?
That's even worse, though.
Yeah, it was 3 classes chucked together, 1 teacher taking us, and explained everything very quickly.
Oh no. See, why are they doing this? This is just as important as like, this is more important than like learning Circle Geo, okay? I think Circle Geo is so useless.
And Circle Geo, I've not used Circle Geo since high school, other than tutoring kids. But
yeah, exactly. But there's like in a real life situation, how often do you use Circle Geo, right? I don't know how well you know the standard math syllabus, but that is so much more applicable to the real world than any 2U or 3U maths content.
Yeah,
I think. And that's why I think standard is harder than 2U.
And have you seen the TikTok about like when girls ask guys about like periods and like so I remember there was this one guy that was like, how do you pee when you have a pad on?
Oh my gosh, I think I remember that, and then like no one answered him seriously, right?
Because he thought you stuck the pad straight onto you.
Like what?
Yeah, that was pretty. It's so concerning. Like, and these are like grown men. These are adults.
Yeah. He had to be. He was serious about asking, right?
And he was so serious. And like, I know that there are definitely people out there that also don't have this knowledge.
Yeah. I guess, like, look, if you have access to the internet, you could search it yourself. You could just educate yourself. Or you can ask around, I guess.
But, like, people, like, why would people do that, honestly? Like, I don't think people are that.
Which then again reminds me of this other conversation about, like, ignorance, right? Or just like being racist, because people are like, oh, at this age, at 18, 19 years old, hey, none of us are 18 anyway, at 19 years
we're both
old,
19 now,
or not even 19, like even like 16, 17, right? People are like, oh, you should be educated enough not to say the N-word. If you have access to the internet, you should know that kind of stuff, because
but I feel like the internet is where it gets even worse.
Yeah. But, like, I guess people don't know what to search up if they just don't know about stuff. Yeah. That's
like, a lot of this stuff is stuff that should be taught in the education system and emphasized in the education system.
Speaking of, I don't think that our education system is the best. There's so many things that could be changed.
Yeah.
I was going to bring it back to schools and the sanitary products, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely a really good move forward. There's going to be issues along the way, and it's like a bit late too, but
I'm glad that it's getting started. It's
good that it's happening now rather than later. So when is it actually happening? Like, when is it rolling out? It's already being
like rolled out. I think they listed Birrong Girls High School as one of the schools that have started today. So this article came out 29th March, and I think a lot of schools already have it in their school bathrooms, particularly across Western Sydney and Dubbo. So like definitely the more disadvantaged areas.
Oh, okay, that's really good then that they're starting there.
Yeah.
I do feel like people would just steal it though and just take like 10.
But like, that's fine. You need it.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I don't know. There's something wrong with you if you're taking it for the lols, but it's in the girls' bathroom. These girls will get their periods no matter what. So they're gonna need it. It's gonna end up being used. I mean, like, it's messed up if you're taking something that's being provided to you for free and just, like, ripping it up or, like, sticking it somewhere where it shouldn't be. Or, like, just doing something with it. Or, like, flushing it down the toilet or something like that. I think that's a part where the schools have to, like, kind of teach the girls what to do and, like, also monitor the system and see how well it's being rolled out.
Is it just pads?
Pads and tampons, I think.
Oh, okay. Variation. Wow. That's actually really cool. But it's only for
Department
of Education, you said, right?
Yeah, so dispensers will be provided with sanitary products, including pads and tampons, at no cost to schools or students. The department will trial 2 types of dispensers, which will be placed in the female students' bathrooms.
That's so good. Yeah.
And I think no matter how much this is abused, it should still exist. Because I think there's always going to be people that, like, mess around with it and kind of take advantage of it in, like, a bad way, like, by kind of not using these products for their purpose. But at the same time, it's going to help so many more students.
Especially, yeah, in, like, the rural areas where people don't have that much access to just regular things, right?
And, like, things are so much more expensive for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you see that? I think this was a while ago, but, like, there was a supermarket in a rural town in Queensland, and the prices were hiked up so much purely because, like, the transportation costs.
Yeah, yeah. And, like, these people already like, their education isn't that good.
The best. It's not the best.
Like, they don't have access to, like, regular technology, laptops, those kind of things.
And the money they save by not having to buy these products will go to, like, bettering their mental, physical health and also their education. So I think it's actually a very, very good move.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, yes, this is finally happening when I saw the article. Another thing that I saw on the news recently was New Zealand approved paid leave after miscarriages.
Yeah, so you told me about that. And I think that is, like, a very, very big step forward.
I think we personally, like, we can't really speak out for, like, the experiences, but all I know, it's, like, it's a very sad thing for the parents, and it's heartbreaking.
Very traumatizing.
It's traumatizing, yeah. And I think offering these 3 days paid leave is a very important step forward for women in particular as well. And I'm so happy that it's like they're offering it to the parents, not just a parent.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, yeah, 3 days isn't considered the most time. It's probably not enough time.
Yeah,
even.
But it's a step forward.
Yeah, and just by offering this, it kind of gives off the message that, like, yes, the country cares about miscarriages. They see it as a problem. They see it as a problem big enough that it can affect work, and therefore, yes, you're allowed to take some time off to deal with that kind of stuff. Miscarriages aren't something that you can just kind of get over. You know, like parental leave. They get older, you can kind of, like... You don't have to be there all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is basically like your child that you've had to carry for 9 months. And the pregnancy process is very hard too for both the mum and the dad. And then if it's just kind of... And then if you experience miscarriage, that's going to be really hard to deal with. And so, like, a country, for them to say that this is a problem that they care about, it just shows that miscarriage is a very serious thing.
Yeah, and I think it's, like, something that's not talked about as often as well. Like, I think people think it's shameful to have a miscarriage.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, actually, I think I've heard this so many times, like, particularly from influencers that have had miscarriages. It's like they didn't realize how normal it was, as in, like, how many people have also experienced that, because, like, when they experienced it and they reached out to others were like, oh yes, that also happened to me.
Yeah, and it's hard to really talk about, I guess.
Yeah, we don't really see the impact of it, and the fact that a country has decided, we see this impact, we see that it's important, and we see that we should be giving these people some time off to kind of adjust and accept what's happened.
Do you know any other countries that are doing it, or is it just New Zealand?
I don't know, but apparently once New Zealand passed the bill, there has been many pushes in Australia to also do something similar.
Okay, I'm just searching now Wait, it's been approved. The New Zealand paid leave 5 days ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I said it's been approved.
Oh, okay.
And it's expected to come into law in, like, the coming weeks. Because, like, stuff doesn't happen immediately. But...
actually, a lot of other countries have this too.
Also, like, the fact that it's 3 days, it's not that significant in terms of the number of days. But I feel like it's a start and we can move forward and also increase the number of days as, like, society comes to accept that this is an important issue that we should kind of be emphasizing as well.
I'm so sad when Jacinda Ardern isn't in Parliament anymore. But she's done a great job, you know? Really, really putting the country up there.
Yeah, and...
Philippines too. I just searched up miscarriage leave.
It's sad that, like, there's actually so many countries out there that don't give leave to, like, families that have, like, they don't give, what's it called? Maternity leave. Yes.
Oh, I was going to bring that up too. Yeah, maternity leave. It's a weird thing. Like, why are you not?
And also,
like, healthcare is covered by companies. That's really, really weird to me.
Also, I think
in some countries,
it's. What was I gonna say? I keep forgetting. What's wrong with my brain? Oh, there's also that thing about, like, there's companies out there that used to be less likely to hire women because they thought, like, oh, women won't stay as long as men would because, like, oh, once they have a kid, they're gonna take, like, maternity leave, and then once they've taken maternity leave, they might not be able to work full-time again for us, so why should we invest in, like, having this employee in our company? And as someone that's very, like, career driven, I really want to kind of work for myself and stuff like that. That's weird to think about. I see, like, the very big profit motive of it.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's messed up because you can't really say that about an entire gender.
You can't, which I guess is why they have, like, the Anti-Discrimination Act. But then, like, employers kind of, they're able to get around it.
Yeah.
You know, like, they don't have to, they can just say, oh yeah, I didn't want to hire them because they didn't have this kind of qualification compared to this guy. But then, like, realistically, if it was, like, two men who were applying for that job, they probably wouldn't think about it like this. Also, I said the wrong thing before. New Zealand's actually the second country to have this leave, miscarriage, or stillbirth. And the other country is India, actually.
Oh. Because, like, this article by ABC News said that...
This is bbc.com.
So, a member of parliament said that they basically might as well be the first country.
Oh, why? What's with India?
No idea. That's all they said.
Oh, okay then. I haven't looked into it yet. But either way, that's pretty cool. And then if Australia does that, that'll be a really good step forward as well. Okay.
Yeah.
We actually might stop the episode here since it's already getting towards the 1 hour mark. Is there anything else you wanted to...
Yep, our episodes have been getting very long.
Yeah, but that's okay, right?
Yeah, that's okay. I love how we started off saying 45-minute episodes and nothing has been on that mark since the first episode.
Yeah, the first episode was in the 40 minutes and then it just got longer and longer. And then I think our longest is probably the...
one that hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, so that's next week, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
It should be number 15.
So that's a really exciting episode. If you know the pattern that we're going in right now, you might notice, which is the Get to Know Us series every second episode. So next week is another Get to Know Us series, and that one is really fun.
Yeah, so if anyone has any suggestions for what we should do for the Get to Know Us series, please let us know. Or if you have any other ideas for any other series that you would like to listen to, please let us know as well.
Actually, I want to throw this question out to the listeners. Would you be interested in an astrology episode?
I want to do astrology. I want to like investigate.
Okay, Get to Know Us astrology. I saw the Try Guys do it actually.
Yeah, I watched their one. It was so funny.
I haven't seen it. It was like Eugene.
I watched their. Yeah, Eugene was the one that investigated everyone else's astrology signs.
Okay, I mean, we'll think about it. So if you guys have any suggestions on what episodes we should record, just let us know either in the comments of the YouTube. You can DM us on Instagram, 2.friendlessfriends.
Yeah.
Is that basically the only way?
Yeah, I think there's also our email, 2friendlessfriends@gmail.com. And other than that, make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, and also make sure that you follow us on whatever podcast player you use, as long as we're available. Download our episodes, leave a review, and tune in every week on Sunday at 1 p.m. Sydney time for a new episode. And with that, I guess see you guys next week.
Okay, thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.